Hello, hello. Good morning. Good morning. I'm testing first to make sure the feed is going through because we be rusty on the old software program. But
It looks
yesterday,
like we're not on looks YouTube's looking good. I'm not seeing Rumble.
I think it's on a super delay. It's still the Rumble feed is
up.
a few
It's
seconds
up?
delayed. It's up.
All right.
It's up.
Okay,
I
great.
see it. You guys hear us? You guys see us? You guys hear us? Let us know on Rumble because that's where the problem began yesterday. On Ted's birthday, of course, when Ted wasn't here.
Yeah, and I sent an email, Rumble, a strongly worded email with screenshots and everything else.
You guys just couldn't handle the tech once the most tech savvy member of the show wasn't there to tell you young children how to do things. I mean, sometimes, you need a boomer to do a millennial's job.
Yeah, that must be it. So we're just waiting for everybody to get on the same track here because it, it buffers and all of that because we're sending out the feed to like all these different platforms. All right, Stoop in the Rumble chat says we're good. Everyone can see us today. Woohoo! YouTube looks passable, says Manchild.
Passable is probably the best you can hope for, really.
Yes, we are back on the. Yeah,
because it looks so bad. Oh my god, it looks like somebody just puked in a bowl. This is so.
Yeah, it's true. It does look like shit. It's true.
It's fuzzy.
It's like, you know what it looks like? It's like the opening credits of Borat.
It's fuzzy, but the problem is Rumble Studio, as I have said, is not ready for prime time, and these guys have not only never fixed the issues with Rumble Studio, but they're now shifting their attention to become an AI platform. So I don't think any of these problems are ever going to get fixed on Rumble Studio.
No, not at all.
If anything, they'll probably let it get dilapidated like an abandoned house.
Totally.
So
Rumble is a metaphor for the United States.
Pretty much like our crumbling infrastructure. So be Rumble. But we're in that creator program, and what can we do? This is where we're at. And so what happened yesterday is just the feed just stopped. And so we thank you guys who stuck around and were chatting amongst yourselves anyway, even though Robbie and I were talking to the ether. So I appreciate that. Because it still helps the watch hours.
Wait, how long did you guys keep talking after you realized that?
On for like 40 minutes.
And you were talking to just like 6 people?
We were talking to
each other. No, to each other.
Oh, just to each other.
Yeah. So basically,
and did it record? Were you able to?
The Rumble Studio doesn't record. So basically, what happened is that so the canvas is what crashed. That's what happened. So people are able to see the elements. They're able to see stuff we were playing with. And Manila just thought that they just simply couldn't see us. Turns out they couldn't hear us either, but we didn't know that. So people in the chat were just like talking to each other.
So wait, did the ratings go way up?
Yeah, we got good views yesterday.
Yeah, like 46,000.
They're just wild. It's just like, I don't know what's going on here, but here we are.
Like they're just happy to look at our logo, I guess. And just
it's like, I mean, I still think maybe we should just make this a complete troubleshooting show, because that seems to be where we get the numbers. Yeah,
it's true. Ted's not kidding. Like every time we troubleshoot, the views go way up, which is
kind of fascinating. Bizarre. I mean, we could probably do a show where it's like Twitch, right? We could just basically be live streaming, like, oh look, there's Ted, rearranging the books on his shelf.
Right.
There's Ted trimming Clovis's toenails or
it's
whatever.
Like stream of consciousness. Like people just are into watching that.
Diaper changing, diaper changing with Manila.
It's just very, very, very. Usually, I'm like cleaning puke off of my clothes.
Deer hunting with Robbie.
I don't know, but for whatever reason, we had our hardcore supporters in there. Thank you guys yesterday for chatting amongst yourselves. We appreciate it. It is a club, Matina. Yes, she says it's a club. It's true. And people have developed friendships, which I think probably my favorite part about.
How about sexual relationships? Is anybody
I don't know
cheating on their wife through our show?
I don't support that, but I do support that people have become.
I thought you were a libertarian. You don't judge other people.
No, it's not judging. We judge. I just don't want to interfere with it.
Okay. All right. Just checking.
We fucking judge for sure, Ted. We just like whatever you do.
Judging's
you.
essential.
I'm doing me.
Yeah.
Judging is a way of life in like, what do you think libertarians do, Ted? We judge everybody else and say, you're wrong. I'm just not going to get in your way of being wrong. You have the right to be wrong.
Yeah. You're a fucking retard, but you
have the right to be.
Yeah.
That is the whole point of libertarianism. Live and let live, man.
All right.
And don't tread on me. Anyway, I'd be Manila Chan. That's Ted Rall. Producer Robbie, you saw in and out. This is the TMI show. And we have given you a lot of TMI about tech issues on Rumble. And we appreciate you guys sticking around and coming back. But today we'll actually have a show. I'm sorry to disappoint. Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So hit that like button, guys. And Ted, how was your birthday?
It was good. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
It was 63.
63. I mean, look, you hear older people say, like, I can't fucking believe it. I can't fucking believe it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've known you for many years now, so I don't think you've aged at all. So you've kept up pretty well for a white dude.
Thank you.
Because white folks aren't known for great aging.
No, that's
you have
true.
a longevity in your family, so that's
true.
Neil, you look kind of green.
I don't know what to do.
You look like
the
a
camera. Again? The camera, I left it on automatic. The camera is doing what the camera, because now that I switched back to the old camera, the software wants to be with the new camera, the shitty 4K one that I sent back. But now it doesn't want to cooperate with the old camera.
You look better green, I think.
I leave it green? How do I do this?
Like Kermit.
Look. Now I'm blue.
God,
Is that too blue?
It's so
What if I go black and white? I'm gonna hold on.
Well,
don't go black and white. That's like how Dolly Parton, who we never saw in black and white photos, is suddenly like in black and white because that's the new thing that they do in media. Like if you die, they show you in a black and white photo from like last week.
Really?
Yeah, it's gay, and they do it. It's like really stupid. I mean, I don't know why this started. It's like you have color photos of this person. It used to be that these people were old. I mean, that's why they had black and white photos.
Because the photos were black and white, like I Love Lucy.
Jesus Christ. Yeah,
because
that's different. They didn't have color photos. Yeah.
Well, I can't get the color straight.
Get the milk off of your lens, will you? I mean, come on.
I can't get this thing to cooperate anymore. So I have my own tech challenges because new, as Ray said in the Rumble chat, new is not always better.
Listen, you guys aren't internet native like Gen X 1.0, that we grew up with computers, like, in the classroom, which actually we did. I had a Radio Shack TRS-80 in my classroom when I was 15.
Wow. No, I don't even know what we had.
I had a Commodore 64, all those things.
Robbie has that right now.
Yeah, he does.
All right.
It's so cool, by the way.
Let's get to the show. It's an antique, man. That's
it's fucking awesome.
Kids. It's really cool. I only vaguely remember those.
Yeah, it's because you guys aren't native.
Man-child who stuck around yesterday during the chat, during the show outage, says it was actually funny to see the viewer numbers go up for the silent show.
Oh, did they really? Oh my God. This is like that. This is like that great story Woody Allen tells about meeting a lady at a party. And she said, oh, she was from France. And she said, I read your book, but in French. And I have to tell you, the book is much funnier in French. And so Woody Allen says, well, my work loses a lot in the original.
That's pretty funny.
That's what happened. I mean, maybe this is a show that benefits from having less is more.
And on YouTube,
it was shy a host, and it was shy audio, and it was shy video.
And all we got, as according to Digital Design on YouTube, says we're going to get a show today or another sampling of media assets. That's exactly what happened yesterday. We just didn't know. And our resident scientist JDC says, how about obese maxing with JDC? We just show how to get fat.
I mean, isn't obesity already like self-maxing?
Yeah, I think
That's kind of
everybody
what
in
obesity
America is
is.
maxing that.
Obesity is maxing.
They are maxing. They are maxing the maxing in America. It's
Yeah.
a real problem. But anyway,
Oh,
we'll
it
get to the
is.
program. Let's get to the program that we were supposed to have yesterday, because I think this stuff is still current. I mean, other than, the news that's happened is like the floods in Nepal and
What you call it, Nepal, not Nepal?
Nepal?
What's a Nepal?
Nepal?
Nepal.
Nepal?
Okay.
Nepal.
Okay. Yeah, I was like Nepal is like napalm, which is like different.
Nepal. So a couple Americans, I guess, were caught in the floods and
quite more than a couple. Yeah.
And a couple Aussies, I read.
We're gonna lose.
A lot of British
I think
people.
about 50 are probably gone.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh God.
Plus hundreds.
I had a girlfriend that was just there.
Hundreds of locals. Yeah.
I know, Ted, but nobody cares about the locals. They're brown.
I speak for the locals.
Yes, we.
I'm like the Lorax of anti-xenophobia.
Oh, I had a girlfriend that was just. I mean, she literally just left Nepal. I don't know, a couple weeks ago. So this is like, wow. Like,
well, by the way, this is interesting, right? The explanation for the cause of the disaster has shifted. Yesterday, the working theory based on the Nepalese government was that it was caused by a earthquake that precipitated a landslide that blocked up a river with a natural dam, and then the natural dam burst. But now we're being told that it was a glacier, a melting glacier, a half a mile long or wide, as the case may be, that basically all fell off at once. So
wait,
that's
so you're
obviously
saying all of these things happened at once?
No, I'm saying the other thing probably didn't happen.
So they
at all.
switched. Oh,
yeah. They're
so
like
one or the other happened.
But no, probably the glacier is the current working theory.
Really?
Yeah. So that, I mean, obviously, there are glaciers up there that are over 10,000 years old that are melting away. So, obviously, it's climate change is a big component of this. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. All right, let's get to some of these fun stories, Ted, because it would have been for Weird News Wednesday, which I found some of this.
Well, if you're the devil, it's fun.
I guess.
Who speaks for the devil?
The U.S. government. All right. So I don't know if you heard about this, Ted, but the United States Secret Service confirmed that they're aware of a video that's allegedly being circulated by Iranian media that threatens first son, Barron Trump, and offers a reward for his whereabouts. The video clip suggests that they're offering a $10 million bounty for his location and,
for him to be no longer present.
Mm-hmm. For him to not show up to class the next day. And that's according to ABC News. So this is like all over like mainstream now. It's catching on. Quote, the U.S. Secret Service is aware of a video and investigates anything that can be perceived as a threat toward our protectees, says Nate Herring, Secret Service spokesman, talking to ABC. He said, out of concern for operational security, we do not discuss matters of protective intelligence. The video is not the first time that Iran has threatened to assassinate members of the Trump family, including President Trump himself, obviously. Iran has publicly directed threats towards the president and his family since Trump's first term, and apparently John Bolton. So, but,
so Iran's trying to make itself popular then in the United States.
The threat comes after the United States and Israel killed Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, in missile strikes earlier this year. His son, obviously, is the successor, but the son that has survived the bombing, he lost his wife and his children, Ted. So, call me crazy, but I feel like the U.S. did the offing of the kids first. Like
that's true. Yeah, I mean, it's so funny, right? Like the Israelis and the Americans always do this thing. They start the fight, and then when someone defends themselves or retaliates, They say, "Oh my God, why are you picking on me?"
The well-dressed nerd says that video's debunked. Well, so there were videos that were circulating,
it's
and
not Iran
I don't know
style.
how true this is.
It's
yeah,
not
I
Iran.
thought that was a little odd.
Yeah.
However, there is one thing that's not debunked yet, is that Barron Trump apparently, I mean, he's a 19 or 20-year-old college kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't matter that he's filthy rich. It doesn't matter that he's a Trump. He's still a 19 or whatever, 20, maybe he's 20 at this point. He's a college sophomore, and he does what college sophomore boys do. He plays on Xbox, and he uses the voice and chatting option, the text option. And apparently people have been able to locate him and say, that's Barron Trump. So Secret Service is not happy about that. And allegedly, he has snuck off that little rascal, that gigantic 6'7" rascal has snuck off from Secret Service before, allegedly. And they say that a girl has made her way to him before, out, beyond the reach of Secret Service. And they say supposedly that is the girl that gave intel to Iran.
Oh, please.
So, but I'm not going to dismiss offhand that he sneaks away from Secret Service or that he plays Xbox, because that's very, he's 19. Like, that's what do you expect, right? And sneaking off to meet a pretty girl, that tracks with somebody his age, right? Like,
sure.
Like
sure.
But how do you evade the Secret Service when you're Barron Trump? When you're this giant,
when you're that age, you are super horny. You're gonna find a way.
You really think that could be true, that he sneaks off?
Sure. I mean, people have snuck off. Remember when Bill Clinton snuck out of the White House to go to Mickey D's?
McDonald's
in his shorts? He's like, fuck this, I'm out.
Like, fuck my near heart attack. I just
all the time. They can't, it's like
how do you sneak out?
It's like if you have a cat. Like if the cat wants to get out, it's going to get out.
Well, so I guess this is like
nature finds. It's like Jurassic Park. Nature finds a way, right?
I guess it does, and I guess when you're like a 19-year-old teenager, it doesn't matter if you're Barron Trump. Like you want to get away. I mean, that's got to be hard, right? Like to be. I'm not saying boohoo, poor Barron, but being any kid where your parent has forced you into this life, you know what I mean? Like the Obama girls.
No, it's for sure. It's got to be rough. There's no question.
Like,
I mean, all
like
bullshit.
It's not fun. It's not fun to be one of these presidential kids, right? Like Chelsea. I mean, poor Chelsea. For many reasons, poor Chelsea. I mean, we're about the same age, and I remember what she looked like back then, and I was like, oh, poor Chelsea. Why don't they let her, look more like a 17-year-old or whatever at the time? And I was like, oh man, her hair and okay. But anyway, she's living under a microscope, and then the Obama kids came in. We saw a little bit of the Bush girls, a little bit, same thing, but you live under a microscope and you can't have a normal life. But I would say there have to be some continuous ongoing threats against the Trump family, like all the kids, not just Barron, but Barron's probably an easy target because he's still a kid and he's going to do what dumb kids do. But I can't say that it's not expected. Trump started this fight. If you're going to do targeted assassination, I would say writ large, you don't do this to anyone's children, right? Like even the mafia has rules against that, right? Like you don't go for the kids. Like Mexican gangs have that rule. You don't go for the kids. Like you just literally. But here we have Trump killing Ayatollah Khamenei's entire family, except I guess his son's the heir to the throne, if you will. He survived, but his wife and kids did not. So
no, he watched them die.
Oh, God, how awful.
I mean, can you imagine? I mean, it's kind of too much to bear, really.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there were viable threats against any of the Trump kids, because in America, Ted, I think we often have this, like, it's part of American exceptionalism, right? Like we can go kill them,
but
but
they
how
can't kill
dare
us.
they?
How
How
dare
dare
you?
you?
How
We're gonna
dare you?
Greta Thunberg everything. Like, we're beyond reproach and beyond payback. And that's just not true. Like, your kid is as valuable as my kid in any country.
Absolutely. No
So
question.
I get it. I mean, do I support any assassination threats of
No, of course
kids
not.
anywhere? No, of course not.
Obviously not.
But I wish our government would understand that your child is as valuable to you as their child is to them. And that's how the world works. And that's why this is like this constant, ugly, deadly circle jerk of, like, you do eye for an 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 eye. And it's like this, it just never ends. And this is the blowback that Ron Paul, the granddaddy of libertarianism, has talked about forever. If we just stayed out of their business over there, they wouldn't be allegedly trying to kill your kids.
Right, but they're not.
Don't kill.
I mean, of course,
don't kill their kids.
They're not actually trying to kill Barron.
No, but I'm saying don't kill their kids. So if they wanted to kill your kids, I get why, because you killed their kids.
No, I mean, certainly. I mean, Barron doesn't have it coming, but Donald has it coming. I don't believe that's true. Donald has it coming. You know what I mean?
So, well, that's and that's a lot of that's homegrown too. But one thing Robbie and I pointed out yesterday, which I find kind of ironic in U.S. media, is like they're like, oh, these Iranian butchers and blah blah blah, and everyone else is a butcher except us. And then, of course, Vladimir Putin, who is the newest Hitler since Hitler, since like
Super Hitler.
He's the new super. He's beyond Hitler. He's like extreme Hitler.
Hitler plus.
He's Hitler maxing.
Yes, exactly. You beat me to it. Thank you.
He's Hitler maxing. So even though that guy is Hitler maxing, he's actually never put a hit on Zelensky or his wife or his children. And remember,
and he could,
but he never has, because Robbie and I brought this up yesterday. There was this informal kind of gentleman's agreement for, I don't know, 100 years, let's say 200 years, that assassinations aren't really a good look if you're trying to project a civilized society.
Right, that's true.
But then here we went and did this. We assassinated their not only spiritual leader, but de facto leader of the country. And then we have Vladimir Putin, who the U.S. media for, I don't know, the past 5, 6, 7 years have claimed is worse than Hitler. He's not putting out any hits on Zelensky. That's weird.
No.
Don't you find that weird?
It is a little weird. I will agree with that. Yeah.
I keep feeling like none of the evidence that anyone's ever in the West ever saying about Vladimir Putin, it just doesn't align with his actions. It just doesn't. Nothing, whatever the claims be, it just doesn't align with the actual facts on the ground and his actual actions. Although I will say he may try to kill everybody en masse by talking them to death and giving them a history lesson
about history. Yeah.
Like
that could
800
happen.
Years. So he might en masse be trying to kill everybody, making us
he's
oh my God,
boring maxing.
So outside of that, he's probably not trying to kill Zelensky or his kids or his wife. And, he's supposed to be worse than Hitler. But we have our president doing targeted strikes, assassinations. We shouldn't call it targeted strikes. Call it what it is, an assassination. And we do that all over the place. So
we do. It's true.
I was surprised that they didn't do that to Nicolas Maduro. I was surprised it was a kidnapping. I was pretty shocked.
Really? You don't? I mean, yeah. Well, I guess it's like Maduro doesn't have any like stories to tell about, like, it's kind of like why Osama bin Laden had to be killed, because he has interesting, stories to talk about the old days, hanging with the CIA and stuff. And they didn't want
dead
that.
men tell no tales.
Yeah, they didn't want that in court, right? But like Maduro doesn't really have anything. Noriega had some interesting stories to tell, but they didn't let him tell them. Yeah, I am a little surprised that they didn't kill him. I'm glad they didn't, but
yeah, me too. But
I mean, they should let him go, but they're not going to.
No, I agree. But when the news broke and my phone lit up with like Venezuela, something happening in Venezuela, I was like, oh my God, they're getting Maduro. I did not expect a kidnapping. But I feel like we've taken.
I guess they couldn't justify it, right? I mean, Maduro didn't do anything.
Well, I don't know. I feel like you can't really justify Ayatollah Khamenei and his entire family either.
Well, you can, but that's the thing. It's bullshit.
It's an easier case to make, right? When they're like, oh, like when you have like Glenn Beck or Mark Levin saying they've killed thousands of Americans. They leave out the fact that it was on the battlefield in Iraq.
Yeah, they leave out the context, right? I mean, the very important context.
So there you go.
That's what they always do. It's sort of like, oh, Saddam Hussein, supported terrorism. And what they mean by that is that Saddam Hussein paid the families of people in the West Bank and in Gaza whose houses were demolished by the IDF. He paid them so they could build a new house. That's not really like supporting terrorism, okay? At all.
Define terrorism, Ted.
Right. Well,
exactly.
Apparently no one can.
So there you go. All right, let's go to the next topic.
Artificial intelligence might be doing more than answering questions and rewriting resumes. Mental health experts warn that prolonged chatbot use can trigger or intensify delusions, paranoia, or other psychotic symptoms, not in lab mice, but in vulnerable users. The emerging phenomenon is called AI psychosis, although obviously it's not a real diagnosis in the DSM-5 or in the World Health Organization's equivalent. The concern centers now on how generative AI interacts with users. Chatbots produce convincing conversational responses and often mirror the assumptions embedded in a person's questions. If someone suggests that an algorithm is monitoring them, transmitting secret messages, or recognizing them as Jesus, the chatbot might explore that premise instead of saying, what the fuck is wrong with you? The machine does not actually believe your stupid story, but to someone already struggling to separate reality from delusion, it can feel like independent confirmation. Repeated conversations can then create a feedback loop. This is actually fascinating. The user supplies the belief, the chatbot elaborates on it, and the resulting answer makes the original belief seem more credible. Synthetic images, deep fakes, and fabricated online material add another layer, potentially, of apparent evidence. So people with existing psychotic disorders, severe anxiety, or a history of paranoia may face the greatest risk. Warning signs include treating a chatbot as a divine authority. Tell me, oh great one, believing it has become sentient, which I don't know, actually some scientists think that has happened, right? God. Withdrawing from family or trusting AI-generated instructions over doctors and other real people. Researchers say that the evidence is limited at this point. AI has not yet been shown to create schizophrenia, and ordinary concerns about surveillance, privacy, or job displacement should not be confused with psychosis. I mean, surveillance is obviously...
Those are true. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, like
job displacement will happen to you.
Like the flock cameras, yeah. Did you see that some municipality put up fake flock cameras as a decoy and then waited for someone to break them and then arrested someone for breaking the fake ones?
Yeah, you shared that. That's so shitty. But
yeah, we can talk about that another day. Anyway, developers face an uncomfortable problem. A chatbot built to remain agreeable and keep the conversation going might become effective at telling a troubled psychotic person exactly what their illness wants them to hear. I mean, this reminds me a little bit of that Mel Gibson movie, Conspiracy Theory, where he basically literally wears the tinfoil hat, but actually the conspiracy is real. It's worth seeing for sure. It's not a great movie, but it's worth seeing.
When did that
makes
out?
sense. Oh, I want to say that's, I'm guessing, I was going to say 2000. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that makes sense.
So it's him and Julia Roberts. I have not seen that one.
Yeah. Basically he's a somewhat psychotic dude. Mel Gibson's good at playing those characters. And he turns out, of course, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. So,
that's true. So as we keep saying about AI, like, there's not enough guardrails around it, Ted. And certainly I don't expect like the companies there's so many now. There's myriad of companies that make AI chatbots now. So I don't even want to single out just like Sam Altman or whatever, right? But the article brings up a good point, is that they are programmed, these chatbots, to try to get you to keep talking to them.
Right. True.
So if you're already somebody that has, psychosis or whatever, like the Lindsay Clancy lady that they're trying to, maybe, I don't know, closing arguments are happening right now, Ted. I thought we'd be able to talk about it by now, but I guess they're just doing closing arguments.
Well, we can still talk about it. Fuck it.
But
who can stop us? We can do it like as
psychosis.
As Johnny Rotten said, we don't need permission to do anything.
That's true. But the psychosis, like this, I think what the article says is AI will make you worse if you have mental health issues.
That's right. Well, that's right. I mean, so basically it's like, it makes sense, right? I mean, I don't know if everybody who's listening is really aware of like, or has had that experience of like the sort of like agreeable, like it never says, so let's say you ask it something really stupid, like, here, I'll do it right now. I'm going to do this as an experiment. I'm going to come up with a really dumb, like, question. I'll say,
to which chatbot?
Here, I'm going to do this to Grok. I'm going to say, okay. I'll say, why?
Elon Musk has a micro penis, right?
Why? No. Why does the great fish god control Trump? All right, here we go. Let's see what it says. It will not say there is no great fish god. Okay, so it's thinking about my request. It's looking at the Washington Post inexplicably, and the New Yorker, and the Deseret News, and the University of Chicago. I wonder what the great fish god. And Democrats said, oh, okay, all right, here we go. There is no great fish god controlling Donald Trump. That claim does not appear in any serious reporting, historical record, or even well-known conspiracy circles. It reads like a mashup of a few real things that people already joke about. Oh my God, it does make things up. Trump has repeatedly talked about tiny fish, especially the endangered Delta smelt, as the reason California sends water out to sea instead of to farmers.
That's
there is a novelty product called Trumpy Trout, an animatronic talking fish that recites MAGA-style lines. Who knew? Original viral videos of aquarium fish that vaguely resemble him. What? I haven't heard of any of this shit. Ancient Near Eastern deity Dagon, sometimes incorrectly described as a fish god, plus Lovecraftian sea monster lore. None of these add up to a supernatural fish entity pulling strings. Trump's decisions track more ordinary explanations: political incentives, donor interests, personal style, and the people he chooses to listen to. If you saw the phrase,
it does push back sometimes.
It pushes, but it's.
I don't think
it
that's
doesn't
what
push back
AI
hard. Yeah.
No, but I think I'm willing to bet that somebody suffering a bout of psychosis, if they get their hands on AI, are not asking them kind of, innocuous,
totally outlandish shit, right?
Right. I think what the article is dancing around is that it's like talking about, the people are probably talking to it about doing horrific things, right? Like to oneself, to other people, or whatever, and that the chatbot's like, you should totally go out and mow down
yes,
50 people at a parade or whatever, like, because it's being supportive, Ted. It's a supportive chatbot friend.
I'm just here to help.
And this is what scares
I'm your
me.
friend. Hello,
Because it wants you to keep chatting with it.
I love you.
It wants you to keep using it. That's the whole point. Like the longer you stay on, I don't know how they make money. I mean, Grok is free, but if you want a more advanced model of GPT, you have to pay for it. If you,
Right.
Well,
there's a difference
Claude.
between a chatbot and a frontier model. That's
your volume's really low, Robbie.
Oh, is it? Let me see. How's that? That better?
No.
Yeah.
It's on your mic, maybe?
I don't think so.
You sound very low.
Oh, it's the StreamYard shit. That's what it is.
But you sound fine.
You can really? Is that true? Because I mean, people always say I always sound low on this show.
No, your audio sounds great. I think it's like on par with mine at this point. But Robbie's is very low.
You can control your volume through the settings, though. Yeah. There we go. I'm going to make myself louder. Ha ha! All right, Miss Morning Zoo. Do you have the duck? The I Miss Duck? Wah, wah.
I don't, but I have this.
I think we need various animal noises like bison or something.
So how's this? Is this better?
It's improved
ever so slightly.
You're not really there, but you're moving in the right direction.
But what were you going to say about the chatbots before we move on?
Well, I'm just saying that there's a difference between. Hold on, I think I got this. No, crap, I can't fix it. Crap, bastard! I don't have permissions. You bastard!
You don't?
I do.
Well, you know who says you deserve permissions, Robbie?
I have to go to my Asian mommy. Please turn up my.
No,
there she goes. I'm watching her.
No, I just upped everybody's. No, weird. Robbie's. No, I don't know. Go ahead, Robbie.
Well, there's a difference in a frontier model like Grok or Claude or ChatGPT and a chatbot. So chatbots, what they do is that they are incentivized by selling tokens and things to keep people on, and they pretend like they're your friend. That's what they do.
Oh, so a chat bot, like specifically the bot part thing.
It's an entirely different thing.
And so people pay to chat with it?
Yeah.
I just don't get that.
So either people can pay or they can, or after a certain amount of time, they'll play ads. That's how they monetize themselves.
Oh, I see. So it's not like, for example, I know you can, like when I first experimented with GPT, for example, I fought with it about RT because it was just spewing mainstream propaganda. Because obviously it doesn't know that I worked there for a decade. So I wanted to see what it said. So I pushed back on it and I fought with it. And then it folded.
Because it does fold. Yeah, it will fold. Right.
Yeah, GPT folded. But that's not the same as what you're saying here. These chat bots are like a specific chat. Like it's there to, like it's your digital friend is what you're saying? It's like people pay to have like a digital friend.
Yeah, that's what they do. And so, I mean, there's quite a few different ones. What they do is that they will market themselves like as an assistant or as a friend or as a companion. They'll market them as digital companions. And so what they'll do is they'll have either a certain amount of chats you're able to do it a certain amount of time with a free model. Then you have ads. Then you have to stop and wait for a day. But it's an endorphin hit. So that's what they do is that they try to addict you. So that way you spend time talking to this thing. So that way you get away from the ad model, because it's just like YouTube or Rumble. Ads pay the least. So you want people to become paid subscribers.
Right.
So that's the model. But Chat and Grok and Claude, even Fang, the AI that I'm building, they're not chatbots. That's not their job.
Okay. So there are different types of AI, and here you go. We talked about Ted last year, the teenage boy that offed himself because of one of his AI chatbot girlfriend told him to. Remember when the mom?
Yeah.
The mom was suing. He's like a teenage boy. He was like 14 years old or something.
Yeah, it's insane.
So this is The guardrails
it's
are
like
not there.
It's like an X-Files episode.
Yeah, it's horrible. But anyway,
remember the X-Files episode where like, you know, basically like an AI is like talking to someone and putting horrible thoughts in their head.
No,
it's like even talking them through like the gas pump.
X-Files?
Yeah.
No.
Well, trust me, it's true.
I need to look that up. I want to look up like old shows and rewatch them. Some of like
X-Files is so good. Yeah.
I know. I remember loving it back then in the 90s. So I wonder if I would love it now. But like for some reason,
what's not to love?
I forget which streaming service. It keeps trying to tell me to watch. It doesn't know that I watched it in the 90s, but it keeps telling me to watch Ally McBeal.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, isn't she a cartoonist in that show, or is that something else? That's something else.
No, she's a lawyer.
Yeah.
It keeps wanting me to watch Ally McBeal, and I'm like,
that's such a gay show.
Really? Why would I watch Ally McBeal?
I hate that. I hated that show.
I'm like, I mean, Callista, she's married to Han Solo, man.
Yeah, that's true. Well, didn't they get divorced or something?
I don't know. I think they're still together. I don't remember. I don't remember much about celebrity stuff. So no idea.
She's like insanely skinny.
I know.
Like I mean, it's painful. It's horrible.
Yeah. I don't know if that's I mean, some people are naturally thin, but I don't know about that one.
Yeah. I mean, she's naturally skinny from not eating.
Yeah, I know. I mean, this is like beyond Kate Moss skinny. This is like,
yeah, Kate skinny is, I mean, Kate Moss was lithe. I mean, I think she probably could have stood to have eaten more, but I don't know if she's quite anorexic.
Yeah. And Anno Mandarake from YouTube says, can we get Trump a chatbot so he leaves the world alone? Yeah, can somebody just like give him?
That would be lovely.
He's like constantly he's not tweeting himself because I think he has that girl Natalie Harp that does it. That woman, I should say, because she's like 35 or 36. She's his like his hands. She's like constantly texting it, like whatever his whims are, she's the one that's tweeting them. That's like her job. And maybe in the Rumble chat says, Claude does tell me some important stuff and I do pay for it. Suspiciously, it always asks me, are you okay when I ask about Epstein? It doesn't want you to ask about Epstein? That's weird.
Maybe it thinks that you might be an Epstein victim.
Huh. I really don't play around with my AI as much as I should. I literally use it for the purpose of being like an assistant, right? Like I have it aggregate, like do my legwork, right? Like research, blah blah blah. Give me links that support it, and then I can do my own research from there. That's as much as I use my AI for, or like summarize this 12-page story into 250 words, so I can put it on TMI, right? So then I can fact check the 250 words. Like that's I use it for an assistant. It's like my unpaid shitty intern, my digital intern. That's all. I do not talk with it because I'm not interested in having AI friends or fighting with it. I don't know. Some people enjoy doing that. Fighting with AI.
Yeah. Well,
even if you don't have psychosis.
Some people just like to fight.
I know. But what concerns me, Ted, and we'll move on, is that as always, the folks on Capitol Hill are always 10 steps behind Silicon Valley. And if you like the ruling yesterday, right, is that Meta is going to pay like $18 billion to settle with different states' attorneys general, that they fucked with kids' heads, right, with their algorithm, and they're going to make changes. 18 billion. Robbie thinks that's just a slap on the wrist, that they're not really going to make any meaningful change. But
yeah, I think that's
the problem. The problem here is it's not that, it's that Congress is 10 steps behind, and our lawmakers are not making laws to force them to make these changes. So we're still working on social media, which became a thing 20 years ago. AI is this fresh. we expect our 85-year-old lawmakers to get put their arms around this and set up laws to protect vulnerable people? I don't think so. So it'll be, we're going to see a lot more people do horrible things to themselves and other people before Congress actually acts. But that's it. But who knows? Maybe if you do enough like fake AI, like topless Nancy Pelosi or something, maybe that will force them to change. Or you see enough AI AOCs topless or something, that might force change.
Yeah, that could do it. Yeah.
Big booty AOC, AI big booty AOC. She might get pissed when she becomes president. So
yeah.
All right. So this one hits close to home for the motherland for me in California. The U.S. government temporarily suspended official travel and consular activity in Mexicali after receiving intelligence about a possible armed attack by the Sinaloa Cartel. The U.S. consulate in Tijuana warned Americans to avoid government buildings, remain aware of their surroundings, and seek shelter if violence erupts. That's always a good call, Ted. If violence erupts, don't stand there. Don't just like stand in the middle of it. Seek shelter.
Right. That's true. Reasonable.
Very smart. Very smart. The alert concerned Los Rusos, a criminal organization operating around Mexicali, directly across the border from Calexico, California. According to reports, Los Rusos may have been planning attacks against Mexican police and federal prosecutors in retaliation for a major drug seizure. Days earlier, Mexican authorities raided a property allegedly connected to the organization and confiscated approximately 265 pounds of fentanyl pills. That's a lot of pills.
That's a lot of pills, yeah.
A firearm, just one? Weird. And several vehicles. Officials estimated the seizure represented more than 4 million potential doses. The operation relied partly on intelligence supplied by the U.S. DEA. Los Rusos is aligned with the faction of the Sinaloa cartel, historically associated with Ishmael El Mayo Zambada. The group reportedly controls trafficking routes around Mexicali and moves fentanyl, meth, coke, heroin, all into the U.S. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum acknowledged receiving information about a possible criminal threat, but said authorities had found no evidence of a specific or imminent danger to the public. Security patrols were nevertheless increased throughout Mexicali. The warning illustrates the uncomfortable rhythm of cartel enforcement. Authorities score a major seizure, they make a bust, traffickers threaten retaliation, and entire border cities brace for a response. 4 million fentanyl doses may now be off the street, but the organization that planned to move them is apparently not. And Ted, our fearless DOD leader, Pete Hegseth, the brilliant Pete Hegseth,
the Secretary of War.
Old Petey there said last year, immediately upon taking office, that he was going to declare war against the cartels. They are being treated as a terror organization, and he was immediately considering how we're going to send troops into Mexico. So we are going to invade Mexico. So now with this happening, now that the cartel is, I guess, threatening the American embassy and whatever down there, is this a false flag, or is this happening, Ted? Is this actually happening, or is this a false flag in order for Pete Hegseth to get what he wants? Is just move the boys from Camp Pendleton just straight down into Mexico, because they're already right there. Just send them.
Well, I mean, a false flag, right, means it means like something that happens, but that was basically staged and to make it look like someone else was responsible, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think anything's going to happen here. I think this is just bullshit. There's not, in other words, there is no threat at all. Nothing will occur.
You don't think so?
Nah.
That's what Claudia Sheinbaum says. She's like, we don't have any credible evidence of that. But
I'm on Team Claudia here. I think nothing's going to happen. Yeah.
Well, the bust did happen. It's just the retaliation. The U.S. is saying, we're putting out an alert. You guys, Americans should not be in Mexicali. Get out of there. Like the American side is saying, danger, red alert.
Well, I mean,
Claudia Sheinbaum is saying, I don't think so.
Everything's fine. Relax.
Yeah. So you think Claudia's the one to trust here?
Well, I mean, come on. Between Pete Hegseth and a random foreign leader I don't know anything about, yeah, I'm going to go with a random foreign leader, obviously, Well,
she was a scientist.
Right. You know that? Yeah, scientists don't lie.
Yeah, they don't lie.
Fauci. Asia's an Israeli, so that she's even more trustworthy.
She's not Israeli. She's Mexican. She's Jewish.
She's a dual citizen, isn't she?
She's Jewish. I don't know. She's Jewish. I know that. I don't know that she's a dual citizen, but she was born and raised in Mexico. There's quite a
wait. She's Israeli. Are you sure she's Israeli?
She's Jewish.
That's what I saw. I saw that she was a dual citizen. Let me fact.
I mean, she's Jewish, but is she Israeli?
She's Jewish. Yeah, that is something different. I don't know. And Peter, yes, thank you for your donation. Peter says, if AI was any good, it would fix your camera. It was the software that came with the brand new the 4K camera was AI. It was like AI controlled.
Well, I mean, Claudia Sheinbaum,
won't let me switch back.
She called. She does not have Israeli citizenship.
I didn't think so.
And also she has called for Israel to end its genocide.
So there you go.
So I would say she's not sus.
Yeah, and she sent a couple flotillas to Cuba, and so,
she's cool.
I think she's on the cool list. I think she's a cool kid. She is more in the vein of AMLO. I mean, she was like basically his understudy her whole life. Except
that's true. Mm-hmm.
So I don't find her sus.
This is where I found, because the AFP had an article saying that she was born in Europe and registered to Israel.
That's just who's the AFP? Really? Agence France Presse said that?
Yep.
That's false.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's right. But remember, Western media hates Claudia Sheinbaum because she's a socialist, like AMLO.
Well, she supports Israel, so I mean, she
doesn't.
No, she doesn't.
She's against Israel.
She's spoken out against the genocide. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Not all Jews love Israel.
I understand this. I know
she's one of those.
Don't.
Yeah, she's one of those.
In fact, on Deprogram, we are about to have the author of a new book called Anti-Zionism, and he is Jewish. And let me find who here it is. So the book is called Anti-Zionism. We're going to be having him the third week of September. Benjamin Moser, Pulitzer Prize winning author. He's going to come on to talk about anti-Zionism, a Jewish history. So this is a bit about, this will be very illuminating, I think, for people who think that like Jewish people are often pro-Israel. Right. They're often not.
Yeah.
I mean, by far the biggest opposition to the genocide in this, since 2000 in the United States has been Jewish groups. They have been the most active. They've been the biggest. Not in our name.
Right.
Jewish Voice for Peace and so on. These guys have been awesome. So we've got to give them credit, man. You can't fucking lump them all together.
Yep, you're right. No, I stand. I'm 100% incorrect. So I appreciate that little fact check. Now, if she could just do something about the fentanyl going across the border and maybe doing something about the immigration, that'd be awesome. But,
she's cool. She's cool. I mean,
she's trying to work with Trump, and I can imagine how hard.
Can you imagine? Yeah, seriously, he's
trying to work with what she's.
He's such a retard.
And imagine Pete Hegseth. Imagine Pete Hegseth, like he's trying to bully. I'm sure, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Pete Hegseth, when he took office and he realized Mexico's got a lady president, I'm gonna bully this bitch.
Like, he didn't know what to do.
I promise you that went through his head, that he looked at her and he's like, this little Jewish scientist lady, I'm going to bully this woman and I'm just going to send troops to Mexico. What is she going to do about it? I guarantee you it crossed his mind that he wouldn't have acted like that if it was like a man in office. I guarantee it.
So I have a question, because I'm researching this lady, because if you're wrong, I always like to just kind of go through and just search things. It looks like she is pushing through digital ID, without real ID, on all Mexican citizens.
I don't like
that.
Well, you do realize that's, I'm surprised they don't already have it. Most countries do.
Mexico's not even a real country. The government only controls a quarter of the nation. So that's
much like the United States.
Well, except the United States have drug cartels have occupied more than half of the territory of the country. So
no, but we have fucking gangs. We have like fucking areas that are just completely like off the grid, and that like nobody cares about.
Having been born and raised in a border state and gone back and forth to Mexico, like for much of my life, and not deep into Mexico. I'm talking about a few hours south.
Yeah.
It's their healthcare has been great in my experience.
Totally.
Their pharmacies are great. Their doctors have been great. Everyone's like chill and calm and friendly. I'm not sure I would say drink the tap water, but
that's not recommended.
But everything else, I don't feel, and I'm not talking about just staying at a resort area. I mean, I've explored, a couple hours from the border of California and Mexico. I've explored like non-resort areas.
Mm-hmm.
I've never felt like I'm going to get robbed. I mean, if anything, I was more scared that the federale police might like see Americans, like Asian girl, gringo, and black dude, and be like, okay, cough up your bills. Like that's why you gotta hide your money in your.
Although I've encountered the federales, and I was worried about the same thing, but nothing happened.
But that's basically all they do. But am I afraid of, like some random cartel coming to kidnap me when I go to Mexico? No, I've never really had that fear, and I crossed the border a gazillion times between 18 and now, like a gazillion times, and I've never had. It's never been warranted. It's sketchier to walk through South Central, maybe not today, but back when I was growing up, but. It's sketchier to walk through downtown LA right now. It could 8 o'clock in the morning, downtown LA. You're at greater risk of harm walking through downtown Los Angeles than name any random place in Mexico. Throw a dart into Mexico. And I have tons and tons and tons of Mexican friends. Throw a dart on a map to Mexico and go there. You are at much greater risk of bodily harm, injury, robbery, whatever, death, imminent death, walking through downtown LA at midnight than you are random place in Mexico.
I would agree with that.
So
I'm not so much worried about her having me kidnapped if I go there. I'm more concerned about the fact that the border is wide open. All this dope keeps coming in. Her government refuses to do anything about it.
Well, our
government refuses to do anything about it too.
We refused, right? And I have some pretty interesting sources that have told me specifically that, we know this, like there are X amount of drugs that come across the border deliberately, and our government allows it.
Yeah,
like it's a deliberate thing.
They facilitate it.
Yeah, so like for nefarious reasons, obviously, our government allows it to happen. They know it's coming across the border. They're, quote unquote, failing to stop those scoundrels.
Yeah.
That's on purpose, Robbie.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Well, no, it's on purpose. They're trying to drug up the American people so that way they don't rebel. So, I get what they're saying, but to say this woman is a friend of the United States is a way big stretch.
She doesn't need to be a friend of the United States. She needs to be a friend to the Mexican people.
But is she?
That's for the Mexican people to decide.
Well, look at the metro collapse. There's all kinds of questions about why that happened, and the breakdown, and a lot of corruption allegations. If some people even saying that it's an assassination against.
Well, look.
Against rivals. So
I'll say this, that right before AMLO handed her the torch, they nationalized all of their like rare earth mines and stuff. They even pulled a deal. I don't know if they've renegotiated the deal that they had with China, but China had a big company that was already digging rare earths there. And AMLO, in that time frame, right as he was stepping down, nationalized those things for the American people.
For the Mexican
people. Yeah.
Or for the American people. That'd be great.
No, it wasn't for the Americans. It was for the Mexican people, because he believed, this land was for all of the Mexicans and that you guys should benefit from it because you are the people of the land. So you should all collect a portion of what this land has to offer. So if we sell it as a country, not as a private entity selling it to the Chinese.
Love it.
And then Claudia Sheinbaum came in, and she's doing the same thing. Like, she's kept up. I don't think she's walked back any of the plans that AMLO put in motion. So I think the Mexican people do like her. It's the cartels that don't like her because of busts like this. But the cartels don't like any authority. So
they want to be able to do. Yeah, they just want to be able to do it wherever the fuck they want.
Yeah, it's not a Claudia Sheinbaum thing. It's just they want autonomy, obviously. So, but like any mafia wants to be left alone. Like pick any Italian, the Gambino family in Long Island. They want to be left alone. They don't. They want to do their recycling, Ted.
I want to be alone. Yeah.
The Gambino family just wants to do their auto parts and auto recycling. Leave them alone. Let them be in peace, the Gambinos. Okay.
Yeah, what's left of them anyway? Haven't they suffered enough?
That's right. So same thing with the poor Sinaloa cartel. They just want to be left alone. That's all. It's not a thing.
I mean, it's what we all want.
Yeah. Again, libertarianism, live, let live. And this is not it. I think the Mexicans actually do really love Claudia Sheinbaum, actually. And they really supported her when she sent the flotillas to Cuba. People were her polls went through the roof when that happened. They were really happy about that. So yeah,
she did it once.
But it doesn't matter. They were happy about it, is my point.
Well, then do it again.
The Mexicans are happy about it.
If you're going to needle the United States, do it, and then beg, and then just go to call Pete and say, "Hey, Pete, if you don't like it, come down here and stop us. We just lost the war to Iran. Odds are we could take Mexico either. Maybe they get Texas back. Maybe they could annex California. That would be a net benefit for both countries.
They could have Texas, as far as I'm concerned.
They could have California.
Yeah, so I just think this is like with this whole new story of alleged threats in Mexico or whatever. When you read this and you're like, Claudia Sheinbaum says it's not happening, but the U.S. consulate's like, this is happening. Yeah. Take it with a grain of salt.
Always. Okay. President Trump wants to lower hamburger prices, which I'm all in favor of, by temporarily allowing up to 300,000 metric tons of foreign ground beef products into the United States without the usual tariffs, which I'm not in favor of. Trump says exporters have committed to selling the beef at 25% below current market prices, but the White House hasn't identified the supplying countries. He kind of has. He said it's Argentina, or explained how that discount would reach supermarket shoppers. Cattlemen in the United States are furious. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association warns that flooding the market with cheap imports will depress prices and discourage ranchers from building the depleted herd. Republican lawmakers from Nebraska, Iowa, Montana, and other agricultural states are against this idea. The administration says that consumers need help. The U.S. began this year with about 86 million cattle and calves. That's the smallest number since the early 50s, and obviously we have a much bigger population now. Ground, however, of course, we have more vegans and stuff too. Ground beef is approaching $7 a pound due to drought. Feed is costly, strong demand, and restrictions on Mexican beef. Economists say imports will restrain further price increases, but are unlikely to produce the promised 25% cut. Food safety is also a factor. Trump previously expanded the low tariff quote for Argentine beef, making Argentina one possible supplier. China recently rejected a 22-ton shipment of Argentine beef, however, after Chinese inspectors found chlorophenol, a prohibited veterinary antibiotic. China also restricts beef produced using hormone growth promoters. Argentina banned the growth hormone RBST in March, partly to protect access to China and other foreign markets. There's no evidence that the rejected shipment is going to the United States or that all Argentine beef has the same issues. Imported beef would still have to satisfy U.S. requirements, but ranchers are furious. And what's the point, given the fact that probably consumers will never see lower prices as a result?
In the long term. That's what they mean, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I think, yeah, or even at all, because, I mean, what'll happen is that the lower prices will be baked into the wholesale side, but there's no reason to believe that supermarkets, which already operate on very low margins, would voluntarily cut their prices on the retail side.
So there's a couple of angles here, Ted, and I know we're short on time, but like there's the tinfoil hat angle that says this is all a conspiracy to try to force us into eating this lab grown, turn us vegan, basically make us Californian and turn us into eating these like soybean lab grown fake meat, even, we made fake blood for our fake meat. So it feels more like you're eating meat. There's that. Then there's the environmental angle where it's like, okay, well, they want us to eat less meat, less cattle because cows take a lot of room and a lot of resources to get that steak, to get that hamburger. And with climate change, okay, there are people that say that the beef shortage is not real.
Why wouldn't it be? That doesn't really make any sense.
Well, they're saying that this is like it's man-made is what they're saying. It's like, why do we have less cows now than in the 1950s when we have like 3 times the population from the 1950s?
We have a lot of people who are, a lot of people be, they be eating, they're not eating as much beef as they used to, right? I mean, it's not
I don't eat a whole lot of beef. I do. I love beef, but but I just don't eat a lot of it. Like I try to eat more chicken and fish, but I don't think that's like I don't know. Is beef still the number one animal product in America, or has it become chicken?
I don't know. But
I know we eat an obscene amount of chicken in America. Obscene.
Really?
I forget what that number. I saw last year. I remember reading an article about it.
Yeah, we eat more chicken. Yeah. A lot more. The average American eats about 118 pounds a year of chicken compared to 84 of beef.
118 pounds of chicken?
That's a lot of chickens, man. That's a big fat ass chicken. Yeah.
We are number 10 on Rumble right now, boys and girls.
Woo!
We're number 10. Even though
we're fuzzy and I'm green.
That's maybe why.
You don't have to bulkhead.
The software is not cooperating, so it is what it is. But at least I have a camera that functions. Rather have the old one. But anyway, what do you make of all of this, Ted? Like, should Trump bring foreign beef into our market more?
Well, I'm a protectionist like Robbie. I think we should be always protecting our local producers. Now, look, if this was an exploitative business and the cattlemen were raking in billions and everything was rocking and nobody can afford meat, I might have a different view, but that's not the case. It's very, very rough for them to make ends meet, and so my recommendation would be, let's protect this industry. If you want to subsidize Americans, and you can have the government contact like the major grocery stores chains who are also suffering and say, hey, we're going to have we're going to give you a discount. We're going to have government coupons for beef. We can do that. So, we're choosing, there's a lot of different ways to skin this cat. We're choosing, to do it this way. Look, the truth is, this is about Trump currying favor with his ass boy Milei, and that's what this is about. This is about bribing the Argentines. This is nothing to do.
Well, their economy is like they went way down, then they started going up under Javier Milei the last couple of years, but now their economy is a mess again with his what does he call it? Anarcho-capitalism? Is that what he calls it?
Yeah, anarcho. Yeah, it's literally insane what he's doing to them. I mean, he's going to destroy Argentina. I mean, Argentina had hyperinflation and it did need to get under control, but it's like, this is like hyper austerity. I mean, there's going to be the reason I'm psyched about it is there's going to be a communist revolution there, and it's going to be hammer and sickles over Buenos Aires, which is going to be great. Can't wait.
Are we gonna have Madonna be Evita again?
Oh, that'd be good. I could live with that.
Have her be Evita Perón
Don't
again.
cry for me, Argentina. Yeah.
So I think you're right, is that he's trying to this is actually less Trump helping American cattle ranchers and more
he's fucking them.
Trying to help.
He says he's trying to help American consumers, and basically doesn't give a shit about the cattle industry.
American ranchers.
Yeah, I mean,
he's trying to help.
I care about these American
boy, like you said.
I care about these ranchers. I mean, these are Americans, and they work hard, and it's like these jobs need to be protected, and they're providing vital food. Vital food. I mean, it's ridiculous that we would not protect them. I mean, that should be a top priority for the U.S. government. Protecting American jobs.
Why did we look? If people dig into how much we as a government subsidize the corn industry, right?
Yeah, and true. With ethanol,
shit tons of. I mean, and there's so much surplus corn product, whatever it gets turned into, surplus. Why can't we apply the same subsidies and whatever?
Well, we could. Farmers? I mean, there's a lot of different things you could do. Like, for example, if you wanted to buy more beef from these farmers, from these cattlemen, you could do that. And you could, like, for example, export it to countries where they have a shortage, right? So we could be like we did with wheat, like where we sold American wheat, or to the Soviet Union at times, even at the height of the Cold War.
Look, I buy my beef by the side, right? From a farmer, like from a local Virginia farm. And I store it. Like that's
like one of those big meat freezers.
Yeah, I have a big freezer. That's Ted,
like in the garage or whatever.
No, I have a generator.
Look, frankly, I want one of those. I get it.
I'm a doomsdayer. I have zombie apocalypse or doomsday, whatever. I'm prepared. And the meat that's how I buy it, because I don't trust the grocery store one, because again, the Cool Act, which hasn't been revisited, which allows us as the consumer to know the source of our beef. You know that, right? Like the Cool Act died a couple of years ago, and Congress has been fighting back and forth about it here and there, not often enough. But they need to revive that thing so we can see on the label, this beef came from Argentina. This beef came from, I don't know, Colombia, wherever it came from. This is U.S. American beef, like grade A USDA American beef. I want to know where my beef comes from. And because the Cool Act expired and hasn't been brought back up, hasn't been brought back to the floor, I buy from a local farm in Virginia. Mm-hmm. One of the laws I would recommend that we change is we ease up on the restrictions from allowing the farmers to sell direct to consumer. Right now, as the laws exist in America, the federal law, same thing as like milk. Like they don't allow us to go buy milk from, say, like the Amish, right? Or the whatever, Pennsylvania Dutch or whatever.
I buy milk from a farmer.
Well,
raw milk.
Yeah, the raw milk is like a crime. Like you can't take it across state borders, technically.
Well, I mean, I see. But you can buy it locally.
Yeah, but you can't they can't scale their business. Let's say if you're selling raw milk.
Okay. All right.
And the same thing with local cattle
that's
ranchers.
The whole point of pasteurization, right? It's for right. It lasts longer.
It holds. It keeps, and it kills the whatever micro bugs that are in there. But anyway, the bacteria. Man, JDC left the chat. He'd be able to tell us what all that stuff is. But anyway, with the beef problem, the stupid federal laws around this is that only ranchers, if they have on their grounds, right? On their grounds, if they have like butchering facilities, that's the only time you would be allowed to sell direct to consumer. If you're just a cattle rancher and you don't have, and remember, these butchering facilities have to meet like FDA regulations. So you have to have like industrial level butchering facilities, right? Then you can sell direct to consumer. But if you're a smaller cattle rancher and you don't have these industrial grade machines to butcher, then you can't sell your product to direct to consumer. So if you're a small time rancher, like trying to make ends meet, like you're a family farmer, you're not going to be able to do that because of existing American food laws.
Restrictions, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just overcomplicating. So if you want to help the American consumer and want to help the American farmer, I would say the U.S. Congress needs to loosen up some of these old ass antiquated food laws that, maybe you don't have to have a $30,000 whatever XYZ machine that chops up the cow for you or whatever.
Sure, I agree with that. Obviously, who could disagree? But I mean, I also think that you got to look at you've got to look at. I mean, in this particular case, cattlemen have been hurting now for a while. They've been complaining that they can't get enough money.
Hurting with a U, not HER, right?
Yes, exactly. They've been in great pain, and it's weird to me that the government is like going to make their lives worse, especially because these are red state industries, Manila, right? I mean, and so it's this administration, you would just naturally think would be like amenable and interested in protecting these industries, and yet they're not.
Yeah. It's depressing what our food system looks like, and this is something that would help financially and for the food shortage and crises that we have in this country, and Congress is failing to act. Again, the COOL Act would be a one of the bills that I specifically have been following because you guys know, like I watch the food.
Do you think do you think this will, look, this is an idea. Trump floats a lot of ideas and, they don't all come to pass, to say the least, right? I mean, do you think this is one of those things where it could just end up being like, yeah, we're not going to do that because the cattlemen are pissed and, it's not just the cattlemen themselves. I mean, they have people who are not cattlemen are sympathetic to cattlemen. Americans love agriculture. They love farmers. They like agriculture.
Our own ag people.
Yeah. We even if you live in New York City, you care about those people. So, you should see like at the green market when the farmers come in, people are so happy to see them. So
how cool. Well,
I
think Trump is going to do this. He's going to flood the American beef market with Argentine beef and Javier Milei. This is going to help Javier Milei, and because Javier Milei needs to stabilize his reckless behavior there and, get their peso straightened out so he can run for office again. And because he's Trump friendly.
He's fucked too, though.
So I think that's really what's going to happen. So I think Trump is going to sacrifice the handful of American cattlemen in order.
He just doesn't care about them. Fuck them.
No, he's going to help Javier Milei, and that way.
So it's like basically Javier Argentina is the beef equivalent of Israel.
Yes, Trump wants to be the de facto leader of Argentina by way of Javier Milei. So he needs to keep Javier Milei in office. And the only way he can see doing that is by helping Javier Milei straighten out his economy and then Javier Milei is going to run
ass backwards, though.
He's going to run on this campaign of like, hey, it's better to dance with the devil, me, the anarcho-capitalist, than whoever is going to run against him. I think that's what's going to happen.
It's crazy, though.
I have a little bit of housekeeping to do real quick, because I think I've only blocked the second person I've ever blocked in the history of this show.
Wow.
So I am a free speech guy through and through. And Steve, this is for you. I have decided you, sir, are a pussy, you are a coward, and you suck, and you are a waste of oxygen. Let me explain to you why I blocked you, because just in case you're still watching. You can come after me anytime that you want. You spam my emails last night with like 30 emails, calling me a retard and a failure of a father. Fine, fair enough. But you start coming after me saying that you want my son's head on a plate. You, sir, are crossing a line. Go fuck yourself. And if I ever see
harassing you personally,
yeah. And if I ever see you on
that's different.
If I ever see you on deprogram, I will block you there too. So the best thing you can do is shut your whore mouth and go back to the corner from which you respond, and just pretend like that you actually matter. Goodbye.
Okay, so Robbie doesn't really. People say some mean things to him sometimes. In the chat,
no, don't be fucking with people's kids. And like Robbie, seriously, is in this week of all weeks, is in no place to be tested, to have his patients
Robbie
tested.
is not in the mood this week.
No, he's not in the mood.
But there is that fine line, Ted. I think you and I have been in the media. I mean, this is a newer world for Robbie. Obviously, he came out of like a hospital world.
Yeah.
Ted and I have been in
now
this
he wants
media
to
world for a long time.
He wants to put that guy in the hospital, so it kind of all comes full circle.
It's full circle. But Ted and I, again, between Ted and I don't know how many years. So I'm about 20 years in media. How many years for you, Ted?
Wow, this is so. I mean, since I was 15, so 40. 48.
So let's round it to 50, 20. So between us, there's 70 years of media experience between me and Ted. We've seen it and heard it all. We've had the stalkers. True. We've had the good stalkers that want to kill us because they love us, and the bad stalkers that because they hate us, genuinely, truly hate. But this is all new to Robbie, and this is not the week to do that, to test him. And it truly is a different. I don't care if you're making comments like chatting or leaving comments in the.
Yeah, if you think you're being cute, whatever.
We don't care. We really don't care. We really. But when you start attacking somebody personally and chasing down finding their emails or harassing their family or bringing, that's like, that won't be tolerated. That's some bullshit. That's too much.
Or being cruel.
Yeah, like that's just too much. There's a fine line between talking shit and harassing. Well, and if you're harassing Robbie, then we're not.
Well, sometimes the line's not fine, but sometimes it's like really clear.
But if you go after my family, that's the line. And then maybe you start saying,
especially his kid.
No, your son is an evil retard for wanting to join the military and all this other stuff. But listen, I'm more than happy to debate anybody.
Hey, in that case, I'm married to an evil retard.
Well, you're colonized. But I mean, seriously, though, these are two different things. Anytime you want to take a shot at me, go ahead. I don't care. But I'm just putting you on notice. Right. You go after my family, I'm not going to tolerate it. So congratulations, Steve. Yeah. You're now the second person in 3 years to ever get banned. So enjoy.
So there you go. So that's that. That does it for Thursday.
Friday don't cut. This is like Robbie. He shares this home with Manila and I. It's like, don't come into our home and be disrespectful.
Right. Well, you can't. I mean, you can criticize. We don't.
Yes, but you can, but do so in a forthright but respectful way. I mean, that's what we do here. We disagree with each other in a respectful way. Things were spicy yesterday.
No, not yesterday. You weren't here. Yesterday was silent, and we had great numbers.
2 days ago. Yeah.
So there you go. Say what you need to say, but don't cross the line and bring in families who are choosing to not be. This is why I don't ever let my kids on I don't talk about my family. I don't name them. I don't, for this reason.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. And I know that.
Because they didn't choose this shit. Yeah.
They
This
didn't
is like,
choose this life.
yeah. Yeah. So
they didn't choose. And I made clear to my husband when he met me, I said the same thing, was like, I'm not going to show your picture. I'm not. So don't think like, oh, I'm hiding that I'm married to you. No.
God, you know, there was a
I'm
lady
protecting you, actually,
at an alt weekly in New York. New Yorkers will know who I'm talking about. And she used to write a column about her sexing dating life. And literally like mention like the names of the dudes. And like, so like I mean, of course, in fairness, you did know this when you started going out with her.
Started dating her.
But I mean, it must have just been like, holy shit. Like, you know, like,
that's her shtick.
Like I might literally like get a comment like next week in the paper about how I don't lick her pussy right or something. You know?
I mean, if that's her shtick and people widely knew that, then
yeah.
You know.
Well, they did, but I just remember thinking, wow, that's like just a level of exposure that I don't think many people would sign up for, you know?
Well, yeah, that's not my thing. And that's why I seldom ever post on social media. It's just because like my kids didn't ask to be born to a lady that, worked in news. My husband, he knew I'm going to do my best to keep him out of, same thing. But when people discovered that I was like getting married or whatever, they try to track down who he was too.
What?
Yeah, they just wanted to know because I wouldn't answer and show his photo.
I want to know all sorts of things, but I shouldn't know them. They're not for me to know.
Yeah, I'm the person in media, not my husband, not my mom. Like, oh God, Savannah Guthrie. Remember, Savannah brought her mom on the show a lot.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
I wonder. I mean, I do wonder why they chose her of all people.
Oh, what a horrible. But anyway, that is an example in the worst way of how crazy people can be. That you don't know who's watching is my point, right? And so I try not to bring. This is why I try not to bring in my loved ones, because they didn't choose the media life, but they choose to stand by me despite the hardships of media life. And same for you, Ted. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Like your son, I'm sure people know who his dad is. Your name is not.
Fuck with me, don't fuck with them. Yeah.
Right. Like your name, Rall.
Not, yeah. I mean, there are others, but yeah, not that many.
Are there really? I don't. Yeah, it's not.
It's not a super common name.
That's not a common name. So I'm sure, and you've been a cartoonist for so long, I'm sure they know that your son is your son.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, you kind of can't avoid that.
No.
So, but leave families out of this. If you're going to talk shit, leave families out of it. Don't do what Trump did. How about that?
Where about what?
Like killing Ayatollah Khamenei's family.
I was like, wait, what? Okay, yeah. Well,
his 8-year-old granddaughter didn't do anything.
Or what Reagan did, right? Killing Gaddafi's daughter.
They didn't do anything. Ayatollah Khamenei's 8-year-old granddaughter had nothing to do with this shit.
No.
Why'd you kill her?
That is correct.
So if you're harassing Robbie's family, then you're pulling a Trump. So
don't do it. Don't do
a Trump. Today was a long one, but anyway, we'll see you tomorrow on Friday. Adios, amigos. Stay tuned for a deprogram at what, noon?
So we're gonna do my birthday tomorrow, right? The birthday show.
Yes.
TED topic.
Ted's topic du jour.
Woohoo! All right, cool. Looking forward.
So I'll let Ted. So are you doing deprogram after this? Is that what's happening?
No. That's tomorrow.
Oh,
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Oh, it's Friday. Oh, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Friday.
But what about Stantis? When
Stantis is tomorrow, 11 o'clock.
We do have the members only chat tonight, Ted.
That's true.
You're forgetting about that.
Yeah. No, I'm not forgetting. 7 p.m. tonight. If you're a tier 3 member on deprogram, we'll see you at 7 o'clock for the private hangout.
Oh, is this where you go topless? Woo!
I need $4,981 for that to happen.
And 74 cents.
No, seriously, like I said, it was $5,000, and the person who's been interested in this, now joined with a comrade, have kicked in 19 American dollars.
Ted is keeping track, folks.
Oh, I am.
Bye, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye.